Well, on that note, welcome back to another edition of the 3D Gens podcast. We've actually had about 2 weeks off. Schedules and travel plans have kind of messed with it. I'm actually leaving for Florida tomorrow, so it's kind of a good thing that we're getting this in and done. Current standings, let me scroll here and find out what we are. I'm sitting at 30 and 22, up 6.8 units. Grayson's sitting at 29, 19 and 2, up 6.5 units. And Jack, with a green week, come back on the come up, is 25 and 24, so not too bad, and one, only down 1.9 units, so not terrible for the cold streak that you kind of went on a little bit. But any thoughts on the previous week? I honestly don't even really remember my bets from last week or anything like that for you guys before we step into place.
So for the many viewers, go ahead, Grayson. Go ahead.
I'm just going to say quickly, I don't remember my losses because I didn't have any. So I'll cede to Jack.
For the viewers out there, the minimal viewers that we do have.
Whoa, we're getting there. Come on.
Okay, sorry.
Millions of potential viewers.
Yeah, potential viewers, Jack.
Specifically on NFL, we do NFL picks. Basically, whatever I take, you are 75% chance, if not higher, to hit if you hammer the opposite bet. So a betting man, whatever I say, take the opposite, and you're in the green.
Here's the issue that I have with that, Jack, because not last week, 2 weeks ago, and I'm not actually like trying to be like that, but you went 0-4 and 1, and I did fade you in two of them, and I won. But you had like a 4-leg parlay.
I was about to say, how are you fading these? If they're alt spreads like plus 260, and it's like, yeah, easier said than done.
I faded the Steelers and I faded the Colts because they're the straight plays. And then I already had the Eagles in a teaser, so I couldn't fade them. But then you had a teaser and a 4-leg parlay, and I was like, I can't fade those. So
Well, we're continuing the trend this week, so take that.
Hey, to be fair, the 4-legger almost hit, I think, if Kansas City would have won.
Yeah, I mean, BS, but it's okay.
All right. Like I was telling you guys before we got off I mean, mine are going to be pretty short and sweet. I'm just going to start us off with my number 5 play is USF and Temple under 69.5. I don't know why I would bet that game. The issue is I'm just going with the trend where total numbers over 66.5 are like hitting under at a 60+% rate. So it's a game that I'm probably not going to watch, but it was just a trend that I've been trying to follow all year, and it's actually done me pretty well.
Not going to lie, if it's not a top 25 game, I don't look at it, and that's probably why the record I have is the way it is right now, but Grayson, continue.
Yeah, I mean, those tend to be the sharper lines. So that may be part of the massive stumbling block that you're slowly crawling over. This began as a gimmick, but I actually do have like a sliver of faith in this one as my throwaway 5th play. I'm going to take Colorado plus the 10.5 at home against Arizona, who has been an absolute juggernaut for me after dark. But now they're playing on the road at 2 Eastern, which I believe in Boulder is 11 a.m. They are now the hunted, not the hunters. They are favored, nationally ranked. I've hammered them just about all year. They murdered Washington State, beating Oregon State and UCLA at home outright the past 2 weeks. They've been printing money for me, both here and personally. They don't crack my top 5, but I just think that at some point the Cinderella run's going to come to an end. They're a very good team, but I don't love this spot. This Colorado team has nothing to lose. It just at 11 a.m. local on the road, you're now nationally ranked 21st, and I believe the ESPN app goes off the playoff poll. They should be in both polls. It shouldn't matter. But I would love them next week against Utah, but something about this scenario, the big number, I love it, especially if you get the hook to 10.5. I don't hate it as a teaser leg. I do have one of those coming up, but I had a little bit of a different path for those 2 legs. But, yeah, give me Colorado in spite of Coach Prime, the OC he demoted, who was the only good thing going for that program. And hoping Travis Hunter has an incredible day somehow and they cover.
I like that.
Surprised you took that, but
it's a win-win. If they get their ass kicked, I'm still right about Dion. So
that's true. That's true. Well, with that, my fifth play, I got the Bama UK game, taking Bama at -10.5. I think this is a pretty generous line considering how Bama's looked recently. Jalen Miller finally looks like a decent quarterback for Alabama and Kentucky. Well, they got that big win against Florida a few weeks ago, and they're like, "Oh, are they real?" And then they continuously they got murdered by Georgia, murdered by Missouri, lost close from Tennessee, and then beat a really bad Mississippi State. So I don't think they're as real as people thought they were early on in the season. The game is in Kentucky, so I guess that gives them a little bit of hope. But I think this Alabama team, the way they're running, I mean, arguably you could argue if they don't lose to Texas, they're a top 2 team right now. But with a different resume, so I feel like this could be even more higher on like my number 3 or number 2 play. But I'll just come in at my number 5. So whatever.
I like the play. I think, like you're saying, it's a generous line, especially for the UK team, even though it's on the road. I kind of looked at it as a teaser line and still might use it as a teaser line, but I haven't yet. I'll just move into my next play. It is an absolute sicko play. I shouldn't even be touching this. I think Grayson already knows where I'm at.
Yeah, I know exactly what it is. Yeah.
But I think I'm going opposite of what you think, and I'm taking Iowa and Rutgers over 28.5. I don't care how bad these teams are. There's no way that a record low total goes under. And that's exactly why it will go under, if you want me to be honest. But I'm going to take Iowa and Rutgers over 28.5. 4 touchdowns. And I mean, like,
it's going to be 6-6 going into overtime. You know that, right?
I need Iowa to get the 25 points this game like they've been talking about. I think this might actually hit in the first half, if you want me to be honest. Iowa's probably going to put up 40 this week against Rutgers on the books.
Iowa last put up 25 on September 30th.
Yep.
So Godspeed with that. But
I was putting up Iowa team total over 39.5 hammer.
That's jack odds is what that is. That's incredible.
That's disgusting. That is a disgusting option. That's a disgusting play.
Awful.
The fact that you actually have money on that game is just crazy to me.
I will just say I've not won many Big Ten game bets that I've ever placed. So
Iowa has scored 20 points in their last 2 games combined.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
maybe Rutgers defense isn't as good as the previous 2 teams they played.
Hey, maybe Sicko's committee should sponsor us after that bet. That's all I'm saying.
They should pay us to not bet on that game.
Yeah, go ahead, Grayson.
All right, my fourth one. It's 4 because of what Larry mentioned off the top with his and the trends of high totals. But I just think one of these defenses is so bad. I don't care who they fired. Oregon and Southern Cal is 76.5 late 10:30 Saturday. I'm going over. I don't care. I think that Oregon can pencil in however many points they want, and Southern Cal is at a point where Caleb Williams is going to have to put up stats to remain the number 1 pick in the draft this spring. So I think both teams get to 40. I'm hoping this isn't some weird 30-something, 20-something game just because Oregon feels bad and then USC tries to turn on late and can't. But I don't want to think to do the spread. It's like 16. That's crazy to me. But I don't think enough of Southern Cal to take those points just because of how bad their defense is. They finally did the obvious and got rid of Alex Grinch, but that doesn't change the scheme issues they have. And they have individual talent. I mean, there's a kid that the Chargers took on day 2 that's wreaking havoc in the NFL right now. And you'd never know where he played school because he went to Southern Cal. And that's just an embarrassing unit. So removing the coach helps. I don't think it's enough. Oregon definitely has a solid defense, but they're going to put up 40, maybe 50. We've seen them put up 80 this year in a game. So I'm just hoping that this gets into the 80s, as we've seen a couple of these big Pac-12 showdowns get to.
I love the play so much. I have a play on the same game, different play, so don't worry, not the same play. So your bet's still good. But the point scares me. I mean, I truly believe like USC's defense is atrocious, and honestly, the three of us could all start on it at this point. I don't know if it's scheme, I don't know if it's player, I don't know what it is, but man, I mean, you could call up anybody and they could score on that defense. But I'm taking Oregon minus 14.5. Play the safer play, I feel like. Oregon hasn't scored below 35 all year. Now I say that they're probably going to score 235. They played and that was on a Utah team with a way better defense than USC. And then USC, arguably, would you say they're a better defense than Notre Dame? Oregon has a better defense than Notre Dame?
Possibly.
Not the Clemson Notre Dame we saw.
Yeah.
Why not that one, Jack?
Because
that's why I would say no.
They forgot how to
not good.
They forgot how to play football in the second half. But regardless,
they couldn't tackle film off of. Yeah.
Regardless, I think Oregon, Bo Nix is going to score at will on this defense. I mean, 14.5. Again, with my last play seems super generous.
Is that an alt line?
No, it's what they're set at.
On FanDuel, it's 14.5 now.
Is it really? Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I think it's a crazy play. I mean, you can shop the line maybe late early in tomorrow, but
right.
I think that's 14.5 is a crazy number, especially right now. So hit that. And that's my number 4 play.
I mean, I'm not a buy points person, but if you can get it to 14 for minus 120 or somewhere in that neighborhood, I'd probably do that.
I also think now that it's at 14.5, it's not a bad teaser line. I mean,
I thought about it.
It gets you to a weird number. That's 8.5.
Yeah, so you're betting on 10. You're of the opinion they win by double digits, and you could get into scoring bands at that point on FanDuel. But
that's true. Win by 10.
That's narrowing your margin a bit.
Maybe if you're a betting man, do that with do Oregon with is it Florida State that plays Miami?
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're
that game because they're two big games, kind of lower. They give that number to like a more favorable number. Teaser that.
Yeah, Florida State's 13.5. I'm looking at it right now, so it'd be 7.5 on a 6-point tease.
Yeah,
which isn't bad either.
I don't hate that. I mean, I didn't touch that game, but I was trying to find a way to play it. The only thing that scares me with the total is where Oregon's defense is so good, but I mean, USC's offense is obviously,
capable.
Yeah. Capable of scoring. So.
Well, the last time, like I said, they played Notre Dame's defense. They scored 20. And if you think Oregon's defense is better than Notre Dame's, but like I said, if Oregon goes and puts up 50, well, then there's your hit or whatever. So
yeah.
But that's why I'm not taking that play, and that's why I'm taking the Oregon spread. But it's fine.
Yeah. Move. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm stuttering. Do one of y'all want to start us on the third one? Or you want me to just go?
No, I got a third play. The boys, baby.
There it is. Never mind. No.
Haven't hit it in a while because they have had Malik in, but Quinn is back. And they're so confident. The books are so confident in Quinn that the line is up 3 points. So I think opening Monday it was minus 9.5. Quinn got announced within 10 minutes. It was up to 11.5, and now it's sits at 12.5. This TC team is really bad. It's nothing like the team that went to the Natty last year. They're starting a freshman quarterback, I believe, in Hoover. I think he's a freshman. Not sure.
He plays like it.
Most of this team was on that team last year that lost to TCU in a close one with a late Quentin Johnson touchdown. And that team only had, I think I just heard a podcast on Texas that Sark was held to 198 total yards of offense. And when's the last time that a team was a Sark team especially was held under 200 yards? Insane. I think this is going to be more of a revenge game for a lot of those players. I think they come out with the fire. Now, granted, last time we played a team that was a rivalry game, we lost. But TCU is not Oklahoma. Hoover is not Dylan Gabriel. It's a late night. It's a late night at Fort Worth. But I feel like enough Burnt Orange will show up in the crowd and it'll be almost like a home game.
I mean, I had Kansas State against TCU, and that felt way too easy. Either last week or the week before, it was just they trounced them from the kick.
That was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all, especially a little bit of rust from Ewers. They should be able to pull away. They have enough pieces to where he's not the end-all, be-all, as we saw while he was out, able to stay rolling there. So I like that.
Yeah, I like it too. I mean, kind of like Grayson was saying, you've seen TCU kind of struggle. And then especially if the freshman quarterback's starting, I just don't think he's ready. They haven't shown anything without Chandler Morris playing. But my third play is Kansas minus 3.5. I think they're just a better team than Texas Tech. I don't really have anything in depth. I think they just have better playmakers. Texas Tech without their starting quarterback who got hurt against us. So that the guy that's starting now has had some time, but it's still not their starter per se. But Kansas minus 3.5, staying in the Big 12.
I love that play. I looked at it. The line almost seemed too give me.
Yeah.
The books knew something that we don't. Like Texas Tech is not good, and Kansas, I think, is really good. I think if Kansas had Jalen, or is it Jalen?
Jalen, yeah.
If they had Jalen against Texas, I think that game's a lot closer. I mean, look what Jason Bean did against Oklahoma. I mean, so I think this Kansas team is getting better as the season goes on, and Texas Tech they're still trying to claim that they're going to win the Big 12 at this point. But I love that play, but maybe Vegas knows something that we don't.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird line. I mean,
it's in Lawrence, right? It's in Kansas.
Yeah, it's in Lawrence. It's a weird line. It feels like something that feels like a trap line, and I'd rather fall for it than try to fake sharp when it comes to that, because I think they're genuinely the better team, and especially at home. Grayson, your third place, sir?
Yeah, the trap line of the week for me quickly was Virginia Tech, a dog against Boston College, who's 6-3. They're the quietest team on a 4 or 5 game win streak in the country, but that just reeked to me even up in Chestnut Hill. I still think Virginia Tech wins that game. They're like minus 1.5, but stayed completely off of that one. My third one though, let's see. Oh yeah, I'll take the teaser now 3 just because the status of the best player on the field, in my opinion, is still a little muddy. Luther Burden for Mizzou should play. Collegiate injury reports are a mystery. Even the NBA is bad. Try and figure out if a guy's going to play on a Saturday. So for that reason, I will not have Mizzou outright. I think they're the better team. I think they win at home. I don't care what the line is. I think Tennessee is getting a little bit too much respect for what they've shown this year. So I'll take Mizzou up from 2.5-point dogs to 8.5-point dogs at home. And to pair with them, I will take one of the best teams in the entire country to win by a field goal, and that is Washington, who is currently minus 8.5 against Utah at home. Middle of the day, Saturday, 3:30 slate. These games both kick at 3:30, so it'd be nice to kind of sweat these simultaneously. But I'll take them from minus 8.5-point favorites down to minus 2.5. I think Washington's obviously the better team here. Utah has been swapping quarterbacks in and out all year. That defense has been carrying them. The coaching of Whittingham has done wonders for them, as it has in years past, and they're kind of too good to be sleepers now. They aren't really sneaking up on anybody, especially what they did to USC really last couple of years. So I like Washington to win by a field goal or more, and then Mizzou, they win the game outright, but I'll gladly take them up to 8.5 at home.
Do you want to hear something crazy?
What?
I have that exact teaser as my number 2 play.
All right, I forget everything I said. Let's see. Tennessee minus 13.5 alt spread and Utah money line.
Yeah.
That was my third play. Damn it.
I have that. I was sitting here and I was like, oh, he's got Mizzou too. So, I mean, there's one teaser line. And then you said Washington. And I was like, damn. Which, hey, as long as Jack is not on it, we might be okay. So
Speaking,
We'll
Dak
speaking of
loves
that,
Washington and some Michael Penix. So.
All right, Desmond.
all right. Speaking of that line, I too do like the Missouri 6-point teaser, but unlike you guys, I hopped off the Washington train this week. I will not be riding the Penix train. I got off board the Penix Express. He let me down last week, so I'm hopping off. But what I'm throwing in Miami. So Miami, that puts Miami at minus or plus 19.5 against Florida State. Depending on what Miami team shows up, I think
Florida State might get bored, honestly, is how that may get there.
Depends on what Miami team shows up. So if it's the one that Neal against Georgia Tech, well, I might as well throw that out the window. But if, the first few weeks Miami shows up, that's doable. Florida State, again, this year just really hasn't impressed me, except for the win against LSU, which that win looks all right now, I guess. LSU looks decent at times. Their defense is atrocious, but their offense is one of the top offenses in the league. But I do like this. I mean, I think, like Grayson said, I think Missouri could win outright, especially with Luther Burden playing. I don't think Tennessee is as good as the nation expects them to be. And Miami, like I said, just give me the good Miami and hoping that they don't get shit on. But yeah, whatever. And I don't know what the odds were on that, but I was like plus 110 or something, or minus 110 or something like that. But yeah, that's my play. That's my second play. Yeah.
Yep. Well, RIP Mizzou. You heard it here first.
Yep. Across the board, mine and Jack's 2 spot and Grayson's 3 spot. So it is fucked, is what that means.
Yeah.
Grayson, go ahead and jump in your second play. I'm not even going to talk about my teaser because you are.
Yeah, that's fair. I pray Jack doesn't have this one, but back to the unobjective segment. I'm going to take a play in the Clemson game. I'm going to take under 54.5. Georgia Tech is like the only team in the country both responsible for allowing 200 a game through the air and on the ground. So I think that Will Shipley could use another week or 3 of rest, and we should ride Phil Maffa for the rest of the season. He showed it Saturday, 36 carries for 1 million yards, explosive, looked great. Was a big part of that Notre Dame win. So I think the defense will be a constant as it has been all year. We're at home. Georgia Tech is just the epitome of aggressively average, I think. And I think when they're faced with an elite group of defenders like Clemson, even with a couple guys potentially out due to injury, but I'm not even going to start guessing that. I think that we'll be able to hold them in check, and I don't think the offense is super explosive. I don't know that we get defensive touchdowns this week, things like that to kind of boost the perceived offensive output up. And I mean, Clemson unders the last 5 years have to be hitting 6-something. So this one seems like a good spot for it. I will take under 54.5 in the purple jerseys.
I like the play. I think Georgia Tech has I wouldn't say has overachieved some this year. Clemson's defense is still phenomenal. And I feel like this is kind of one of the games, kind of like you were saying with, was it Florida State? Yeah, I think Florida State. Like Clemson might just get a little bored at some point.
Absolutely.
Get a little lull, especially after the win last week. So I like that play. I'll just do my first play real quick. It's a 2-legger. It's nothing crazy. Oklahoma money line. I think WVU is going to lose. We're in the Stormtrooper uniforms. I think we're like 1-4 in them. We beat Oklahoma last year. We're going to Oklahoma. It's just kind of a recipe for disaster. As a WVU fan, all things pointing towards that, and then also pairing that with Michigan money line. The Harbaugh news does not sway me any. I still think that they'll play with a chip on their shoulder, and I think that James Franklin is still just stuck in third in the Big Ten. I think that Michigan's just a better team, and if they have to use some sign stealing, I don't care. Win me some money. But Michigan and Oklahoma money line is -1, like 111, so it's right at that -110 spot.
I might contradict one of those in a minute, but I'll let Jack go ahead with his first one.
My number one play, sticking in the Big 12. I'm going OK State minus 2.5 against UCF. OK State is not the same team that got shut out by South Alabama early in the year. This is a way different team, especially coming off that win against Oklahoma, and they've also had wins against Kansas and Kansas State. Again, the top 5 teams in the Big 12. UCF is one of the worst teams in the Big 12. All the newcomers to the Big 12 this year have not had great success. I just looked it up. UCF is giving up when the posts are in the red zone, they're giving up a touchdown 60% of the time. Just not good looks out of UCF. This OK State team has finally found its rhythm. I think 2.5 is a very generous line, regardless if it's home or away. And OK State, they know they went out. They're in the Big 12 championship, so huge game. They know what's on the line, regardless of the next 3 games for them. So I think they go out, take care of business, and move on to next week.
That one was a little fishy to me too. It was like,
that's
why
what
the
I
hell
thought.
would
I thought it was too good to be true.
It's like the Kansas line to me. It was like a trap line, and I got just scared of it. But for some reason, I wasn't scared of Kansas. So I don't know. I just don't
like money line with a partner there.
I don't know if anybody's hurt. But like maybe people are still thinking Vegas is still looking at that team that lost to South Alabama.
Well, the Gundy MO is to get to the top of the mountain and trip and fall way down.
And then also, Ollie Gordon did tweak his knee or ankle twice last game. Right. So it's possible that he's like one bad step away from retweaking it and not being full. I don't think that should be like that huge of a sway to where they're only a field goal, but still, he did.
I cleaned up on them last week. I had them plus the 6 and outright, and they won the last guaranteed bedlam for a while. So
I just looked it up. UCF is 127th out of 133 D1 teams in rush defense, and they're allowing 211 yards per game.
Good Lord. Yeah.
Well, if Ollie Gordon plays, then it's
hell. All 3 of us could play. We can rush for 200 yards.
Yeah.
When they hadn't played Ollie Gordon yet, they're giving up 211. So that's troubling for sure. Like I said, you may just take the money line, find a dance partner. It's probably like minus 160-ish, I'd imagine. So it wouldn't take much if you're scared of the 2.5. But I mean, that's not crossing the key numbers yet. So I mean, that's not too much to ask for, I don't think. My number one play, I truly do deep down think they win outright, just law of averages. James Franklin cannot lose every losable game forever. If there's ever a week the football gods were going to intervene and have some say in who wins a football game, it would be this week. Penn State at home catching 4.5. I like it so much more with that hook on there. Michigan, obviously, as Larry alluded to, dealing with a lot of self-inflicted distractions off the field. They're all tweeting bet, which is probably the only thing they can do to elicit more NCAA violations than what they've already done. So I don't know how smart that is. I think Drew Aller is the best quarterback in this game, and he's going to have to prove it for that to be a popular opinion. I think that it's just going to be one of these Big Ten wars, I think. I don't know if we see necessarily a shootout, but it's going to take a pretty mistake-free Saturday for James Franklin from a coaching perspective. I think they have the guys to pull this off. That was true against Ohio State, too, when I had Penn State. And just mental mistakes and things that were avoidable led to that disaster. So, like I said, James Franklin, or I guess Larry said too, James Franklin is known for this. He's, the northern version of Mike Gundy. He beats who he's supposed to, loses to the 2 best teams on the schedule every single year. But if there was ever a year it was going to change, I think this might finally be the season. They may be a year early with Aller, but I think they've got the horses to do it. I'll take the 4.5 with the home team as long as I can get it. Money line's plus 160, but I would lean towards the points just in case.
See, so my thought process was kind of opposite of yours. I feel like if the Harbaugh stuff didn't happen, where he was like banned from the sideline or whatever, I just feel like that gives the players a little bit more motivation, especially when they're in a spot to like kind of prove it that it's not.
Oh, for sure.
Whatever. And
only
I'm
counterpoint.
not a Drew
Go ahead.
Allen fan, personally.
I mean, he's had some very low lows this season.
Yeah.
But I think the good has been good enough to where I think that there's something there. As far as the proving it thing, Penn State has had a little bit of time here to change their signs. Michigan is the best team against the spread the last 3 years while they've known every play that was coming. They have been relevant in the Big Ten for that exact frame of reference, 3 years. They have gotten their ass kicked in the playoff 2 times. They have not won a playoff game, probably because they didn't scout TCU, which good. That was hilarious to watch them get their ass kicked. So, I mean, Harbaugh off the sideline, that didn't change my mind at all.
Yeah.
That's a slap on the wrist. That's going to change nothing. The NCAA may push that further. But, I think that hopefully Penn State changed their signs, and Michigan's going to have to get used to reading a defense and setting one up without knowing what's coming. That's a bit of a change. If you're playing Madden and staring at your buddy's controller, it does get a bit easier to play the game. So that will not be available to them this Saturday. Coming off a bye, so we don't really have a frame of reference as far as what they look like, not knowing what's coming. But Penn State has had ample time to avoid that. So wherever Connor Stallions has that drone pointed on Saturday, hopefully he can't see the signs, and Penn State keeps it close.
Well, Jack, you got any opinion on that game?
No, I'm not touching. I wouldn't touch that game. I looked at it a couple times, and I like Michigan, but didn't like it enough to touch it. I mean, this is their first test, and I mean, the Penn State
that's the other thing. Yeah, Michigan's schedule is worse than their integrity. They have played nobody the entire year.
Dude,
I'm not saying they're not better than Penn State, but they've yet to have to prove it against a team of that caliber.
Prove anything.
Dude, anatomy and physiology for PT school was harder than Michigan's schedule. I mean,
yeah, I guarantee you that. But lecture and lab. Trust me.
I mean, all we have to do is they have to beat Ohio State every year, and they're in. I mean, Penn State, we saw what they were against Ohio State. Drew Allen looked atrocious. And, Ohio State didn't look great either. Penn State has a good defense, but their offense, they need to scheme differently for Drew Allen. Just don't like the way they ran that offense against Ohio State. I think Michigan is going to be fine against them. And then Michigan's obviously real test is against Ohio State. Again, Ohio State's had a harder schedule, haven't looked good and haven't looked great in the games, the big games. Arguably should have lost Notre Dame. Arguably should have lost another couple. So we'll see. And unfortunately, the winner of that game, unless somehow the Big 12 West or the Big 10 West somehow wins, that beats them in the Big 10 championship, the winner of the big game goes to the playoffs and then plays. I don't know if Michigan goes to playoffs and plays a Georgia, an Alabama, a Texas, a Washington. I just don't think they have a chance. They don't know how to see an offense. No. They haven't seen an offense like any of those teams.
Yeah, let them play one of these Pac-12 teams too. That would be a disaster.
I mean, that's so exciting for next year too. Like all these Big Ten teams, like they go in and they can win a game when they only score 16 points. But Washington, UCLA, USC, Oregon, they're coming into the conference and they're going to put up 60. It's just wild.
And the crazy thing is if Ohio State's offense, I think, is on par with some of these offenses if they had a better quarterback. Calvin Court is no Bo Nix, no Quinn Ewers, no Michael Penix, no Caleb Williams, no Jordan Travis. I mean, you give any of those guys to Ohio. If Quinn Ewers was still at Ohio State, oh my gosh, dude, they'd be winning every game.
For sure.
They have all the weapons. I mean, Marvin Harrison's probably
you give any
arguably the best receiver in college football. I don't know if you can say that over Missouri's, but.
Mizzou gets Bird the ball better, but I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is a better player.
Keon Coleman, Romeo Odunze in Washington, and there's a lot of them. But you give any of those guys, Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, and Julian Fleming, 3 former number 1 receivers, dude, I can't even imagine. Except they have Kyle McCord thrown out.
And hey, he's gotten a little better over the year. He's still not.
But the bar's so low.
He's got to be. He's got to be way better next year. Ohio State's in trouble.
Yeah, that's true.